Coming up in this episode of PWD Allies podcast.
I saw Jess, and nobody was bullying him, nobody was being mean, nothing like that. But he was standing against the chain link fence, facing out with his fingers laced in the wires. And like a mother knows, right?
PWD Allies, the best disability podcast in Canada. Starring your hosts, Brent Frain. And as always, his producer and editor, Neil Matheson.
Today's show is Practical Parental Advocacy, and my next guest is going to be talking about that next on the PWD Allies podcast. Very important topic. I really hope everyone enjoys today's show. Thank you so much, Carmen Farrell, for joining me. And Carmen's going to be talking about practical parental advocacy on today's podcast. So, hello, how are you doing, Carmen?
Hi, Brent. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast. I'm great.
Yes, awesome. It's great to have you joining us. And advocacy never takes a break. It's 24/7, 365 days a year, and definitely learning from each other on advocacy is so important, especially on this topic that we're talking about today.
For sure, it is. It's ever present for parents. Just by way of a little more background, I'm mom to a 24-year-old young man who has FOXG1 syndrome. And he wasn't diagnosed until he was in his teens. Mm-hmm. And there have been more diagnoses over the last, that was 9 years ago. But when he was diagnosed, he was one of 250 pediatric cases worldwide. So it is very rare. Mm. And the gene difference shows up, the way it shows up is different. And Jess's, my son's difference, if you will, it's the only one in the world. Without a diagnosis, I, as a parent, really had to lean into paying attention to what was in front of me, not worry about labels, not worry about boxes, and encourage the people who were working with us, and specifically today we're talking about the school system, but getting them to see Jess for who he is, not what he is.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know, as we were chatting about earlier, it's exhausting. You know, being an advocate, being an ally can be exhausting. And it feels 24/7, but our ability to be effective, we can't be effective 24/7. You know, it's emotional for us. And I think that might be a good place to start, because oftentimes I found I would notice something at the school and that wouldn't be quite what I was expecting. And I'd ruminate about that, and I'd go home and I'd ruminated about it some more. And by the time I got up the courage to say something to the school, my feelings were like bigger than my body.
Right.
And I'd already figured out how I thought. Like I'd already figured out what I thought the quote unquote solution was. And that actually is not a good place to start as a parent. The first thing that we need to understand is the difference between positions and interests. Mm-hmm. So I have an interest, let's say, in making sure that my son is included, but my position might be, I want you as the classroom teacher to include him in this specific activity more. The difference is, you know, an interest is an underlying set of values that we share in common versus a position, which is like, this is the preferred route to get to a shared interest.
Okay, that's interesting. And it is so important to put the person's well-being first, and yeah, definitely, and understand that. Yeah, like I really totally agree with you on that. It's is maybe a difference between interests and actually like the thought of, well, this is what's going to happen, or versus an interest of it. So that the breakdown of the two difference of that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like there are parents out there, or even people out there that said, well, um, I'll agree with you if only if you assume that I'm right.
Right.
Kind of that attitude. It's like,
Yeah.
if you cave to the notion that I'm correct, then we're copacetic.
Then we're good.
Yeah. Or the other theory is, well, if you do it this way because it has to be done this way because that's what, it's like a systemic thing. It's if you want this way, you have to get the job because that's the only way. Is it what the person is, or is what they go to do? You know what I mean? A person is not the person is not the job. Like the person is what they go and do. It's like in the classroom. It's like, well, we want you to go and do this. Well, are you able to do that? Can you accommodate my needs? Can we work together, find a solution of what works good for maybe one student may not work good for all students.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all about educating and making the school system understand that it's okay to work with the student, but include them if everybody feels that, all inclusive.
I think, you touched on my soapbox, Brent, inclusion. And I mean, we all want that. We all want to feel like we belong and we matter. Just to go back to the positions versus interests, it's fine to say that. I mean, it's an abstract intellectual idea, but how do we do that? And what I learned was that I needed to slow down. Like those emotions are genuine, they're real, we need to feel them, but let's pause. Let's observe and just take note of that feeling. And then we can figure out what we want to do with that. A brief story. So Jess was in the primary grades at our local elementary school, and I happened to be driving by the school at recess. And like always, I would slow down to see if I could catch one of my children and just reassure myself that they were happy and included. And it broke my heart, Brent, because I saw Jess and nobody was bullying him. Nobody was being mean, nothing like that. But he was standing against the chain link fence, facing out with his fingers laced in the wires. And like a mother knows, right? And I just saw in his face that he did not want to be there. And I broke down and cried. I felt awful. I felt guilty. I realized in that moment that, at age 8 or whatever, he couldn't keep up on the playground anymore because of his physical disabilities. The kids' games were getting faster.
Yeah.
And so if I had come at the school with all of my feelings boiling and saying, you have to do something about this, he can't be excluded, I don't think we would have made the changes that we did, because what we ended up doing was creating over time an award-winning playground group that ended up including everybody.
I know with my son, I mean, my son doesn't have a disability. He's 17 years old now, and whether your son or daughter has a disability or not, like one thing that my son sometimes does have a little bit of is attention deficit. But I mean, for the most part, he's good. Like he's very, like for example, if you play chess with him, he'll kick your ass, and like I mean, he kicks my ass, he kicks my dad's ass, and he's very good in music. Like he's multi-talented. He plays.
He's awesome.
He plays trumpets. He plays guitar. He plays piano.
Wow.
And
he's extremely talented. Wow.
And that's one thing I've realized as a parent is like even before I became a parent, I wanted to become a teacher as well. And one of the things I noticed was, every child is a snowflake. Every child is different, and not to say that teachers necessarily have the time to deal with every single snowflake. But that's one thing I appreciate with Jake's teachers this year and last year, because he's in grade 12 this year. It's his last year. He's got a few teachers that really appreciate the fact that he's a bit of a snowflake, right? And so they realize, well, okay, here's a guy that really likes music, really likes drama. Let's feed on that and really focus in on that thing that Jake loves. And the teachers that appreciate that, they get it. And he just got his report for the last semester, and I mean, really glowing comments about, well, your son is like just so engaged, and and again, this is a kid that sometimes struggles a bit with attention deficit, but most of the teachers understand that your son is so capable, and and it's nice to see, and it's nice to hear.
Yeah, that's Neil, that's a really important part of advocacy, and that you mentioned appreciation. Appreciation goes two ways, and there are times when we do have to stand up and say, I would like something to be different than it is. But those times that you're able to offer appreciation to school staff are tremendously impactful. And I would always remind myself that, people who are involved in public education, whether they're special ed aides or teacher assistants or teachers or principals, they're not there to get rich and famous. They are there because they are passionate about education and they want to do a good job. And I think having that kind of framework in your head is helpful. And then as a parent or guardian, whenever you notice something that is what you want, what you want to try to do, it's called tracking and fanning. So you want to pay attention to that, and you want to create an environment where you'll get more of that. And how do you do that? So one of the most basic ways is to offer appreciation. And appreciation is not praise. Praise will backfire. Praise it's kind of like a compliment, but it has this sort of judgy part in it. Praise is like, oh, you're doing a good job. It's like, who am I as a parent to say, Susie Q is doing a good job? I don't know. But what I can say to Susie Q is, thank you for paying attention to Jess on Tuesday. The intervention that you did made him happy. And at home, I noticed that he was calmer and, blah, blah, blah. So appreciation has three parts to it. It has a thank you. It has the observable impact on your child, and it is specific. The times when, like, I'll be honest, I recall a learning support teacher and I who did not see the world the same way, let's say that. And I would come home and I would be despairing and I would complain to my husband and I would cry and just feel like I didn't have the energy to go back and do it all over again the next day. And I remember him saying to me, and he was absolutely right. He said, try to see her as you want her to be. So I was like, what? And he said, whenever you see some small behavior of what you want, do that tracking and fanning. And it worked.
Wow.
That sounds like Gandhi. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see.
Gandhi of the school always.
My. Wow. Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at things. It's breaking down rather than praising. I like how you came down with that. Is kind of breaking down the thank you, part too, and just recognizing the accomplishments of the actions of the what came out of it, and it's interesting. I really find
I really like that you really zoned in on the be specific thing, because that's another thing that I really try. I mean, not to say that I'm perfect as a parent, by no means, but
none of us are.
But that is one thing that I really do try to zone in on, is like when Jake is doing something wrong, I'll be very specific. I'll say, I don't want you to do this because of exactly this. Or if he does something really well, I'll say, that was really great what you did, because I'll give a whole bunch of qualifiers, right? Like be really specific and zone in on like why that was good and why I enjoyed that, right? And I think the more specific that you are with your child, then it becomes more genuine. Like you were saying, it's like nobody wants just faint praise, because it feels like it's just false. Like you're like, who wants that? It's like, nice job, Neil. Well, thanks, but for what, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of like it's like a tent. It's like an overview of saying, well, and but breaking it down of the reasons why.
Yeah.
And that's the core of the issue.
Because then the child's gonna know, my parent valued me because of exactly this reason or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And what that does is it creates kind of like a set of expectations that they have. Your child has that data, or that teacher has that data if you offer that thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are loads of social studies that have showed that we all live into the expectations that others have of us. And so, if you have positive intent, if you have high expectations for the people in the school working with your child or children, it's far more likely they're going to live into those expectations.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And then and that's part of the journey in life, is just understanding of the building blocks, right? Of the expectations of just saying, like, as an examples of well, how did you get to here? Because you accomplished this, and equals of like thank you as an overall. But you basically say like well, you washed the dishes today. Oh, rather than saying, well, like, thanks a lot. Okay, for what? Well, you washed the dishes. You put away. You folded your clothes, or you put away. You cleaned up your room, rather than saying, oh, that was awesome today. For what? And then they say, oh, wow, okay, so I did something to actually make my parents happy.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big speech. It's just it's as small as one sentence. But it's something that you do often. You don't do like drive-by, appreciations. It's like it becomes almost like a daily habit, and it's good for us too as parents, because it kind of forces your brain to look for the good things, to look for the positive things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and that's it's a part of parental advocacy. And just to try to make things better in life in so many ways, of just making your child or your young adult, as they grow up so fast. My gosh, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's funny, like just the other day. All the time I go to Superstore all the time, and they always, I get in the lineup, and I mean everybody, that the show Cheers, right, where like Norm would walk into Cheers, and everybody would go, Norm, and that's kind of what it feels like for me when I go into Superstore, because I mean everybody there remembers. I would go into with my scooter, my mobility scooter, with my son on my lap. People remembered that, and I mean now he's like 17, and they're still just the other day, they're saying, I remember when your son was like 4 years old, he'd be on your lap.
Now he
in
can't
the
sit on
scooter.
your lap
Like
now.
they tell me that all the time. It's hilarious, But it's nice to know that people are paying attention and they care, right? Like it's not like a forced thing. You can see that people like genuinely care, and it's like that's cool, Yeah, I love that. One thing I wanted to touch on, maybe to end the interview, Carmen, is on your timeline there, you mentioned give respect to get respect.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, as a parent, you're not always going to get respect from your child right away, right? But I always I want to model that all the time. Is like I'm going to respect my son as his own separate entity, as his own separate human, and I'm going to make sure that he sees me respecting him. Whether he respects me in that moment right now is like almost immaterial. Like if I keep giving it out, eventually it's going to come back. And, over time it does, right? I mean, sometimes it takes a while, but,
Yeah.
it does come back. And in the end, it does come back.
The respect that you were talking about, Neil, with your child, I mean, we are the models of that for the people in the school system who encounter us. And so to a certain extent, those people will take their cues from us and use respect to get respect. It's a nice little phrase. It's toughest to do when emotions are running high and a situation might be stressful. An example can be IEP meetings, individual education plan meetings.
Oh, yes.
Can be stressful. People are, they have agendas, they have things that they want. We're not like, it's hard to kind of stay in that calmer place of, okay, we have shared interests here, we don't have positions. So in those situations, reminding ourselves to be respectful is very important. And I found a good way to kind of focus folks on that is to have an agenda item on IEP meetings that are like just a short story about Jess, about what was going well or what was cute. Because in my experience, educators loved hearing stories about the impact of their work in the school at home. So if there was ever a story I could tell about our life outside of school that showed the teachers how their work was impacting Jess, that was a wonderful way to convey that respect.
Yeah. When I was born, blind. Like all I could see was shadows, and my condition kind of started wobbling where I would actually see double vision. And it was quite tormenting for a while because my mom didn't know what's going on. I went in for eye surgery. They had to bring in a specialist from across Canada. They had a whole bunch of top specialists to try and figure out, well, what is going on? Oh, he's got astigmatism. Mine is a congenital. So it's a congenital from birth, but it's passed on through generations, Carmen. Mine's a congenital, it's a nystagmus. So astigmatism, but it's a nystagmus. But there's different severities of it on the individual. So individualized, I could say, well, my condition is, it works good for me, but it may not be for somebody else who has the same condition. It's not it's not rare, but it's not super common. There's different people who have it, but to different severities. Mine is ranked where if I need to read something where it's like 20 over 2 feet. So what I can see from 20 feet, somebody can see at 200 feet, right? I can see things from a distance. I just can't read out the sign. Like I can look out my window and I can see a sign. Could I read what it says? No.
Can we sing now? I can see clearly now.
I can see clearly now.
The rain is gone.
But that's,
I can see all obstacles in my way.
I love it. But when I had my operation, they straightened the pupils, so they moved it from one eye to straight, and the other one, same thing. But it left it with astigmatism, of back and forth, where no control over the eye movement. So if I read a lot of things for a period of time that are eye straining, yeah, it gives me eye fatigued. And
You know
and
what
so
else you have no control over, Brent?
what's that?
The end of the podcast.
The end of the podcast.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
drop the. I'm gonna
This is where he
drop the
drops
hammer.
Carmen, he drops the anchor down. He says, "Show is now ended." But
Captain,
it's
my
all about
captain.
Captain, my captain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Carmen, for coming on today. It was great to have you on. Definitely love to have you on again in the very near future. It's awesome having you on, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
It's
Brent
great.
and Neil. It was just a delight to chat with both of you and get to know you.
I want to thank each and every one of our listeners and our viewers for tuning into our episode today of PWD Allies podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share the content as usual. And if you want to support our channel, please reach out. Emails are right there. And yeah, thank you so much. And stay tuned to our next episode coming up next. And thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks.